Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I'm moving on to roll call.
Mayor Villarreal,
President.
Mayor Pro Tem Soria,
Present.
Councilmember Flores.
Yeah.
Councilmember Nate,
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Here.
all are present.
At this time, we'll move into closed session and we'll be back in 30 minutes. Well, good evening, welcome everybody. At this time, we do have something to report from closed session.
Yes, yes, the council voted 5-0 to reject the claim, submitted by claimant Vita Viegas. And that's the end of the report watch.
Thank you. At this time, we're gonna move things out of order. We're gonna move on to 12.1 and 12.2 for the proclamations of Public Works and Public Works. We need to keep that one.
Item 17.
I didn't say, oh, you're right. Actually, I think that back. We're gonna move on to, the approval agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Nate, a second from Flores. All in favor? Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, at this time, we are moving on to 12.1 and 12.2. I'm gonna do the
When the introduction, the open office for the meetings at 10. Let me go through
the 11.1.
You have to one and then
Okay, so we need someone, okay, they gotta go. Keep our, well, we're definitely going on order this time, because this is the city council remix right here. We're gonna do 11.1, the introduction and oath of office of community service officer at acting recommendation, and this is presented by Chief Payne.
Oh. Not expecting an ovation. So this is another exciting moment for the Department of Public Safety. This is a position that we've been looking to fill, something that's very important to not only the operation of the department, but to the community. The community service officer position provides support to every division of the department, police, fire, and they focus on some of those community issues that really impact people's daily lives. So complaints about animals, abandoned vehicles, traffic problems, sort of all those quality of life issues that we pride ourselves on giving a little bit extra care to. That's what she's going to be responsible for. I'll allow her to introduce herself in just a moment, but if we can have the oath first. There, I'll do my best to be out of the way.
I, Sophie Valdez, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of California, and to the best of my ability, will faithfully discharge all of the duties of an employee for the city of Lindsay that are or may be prescribed by the laws of the state of California, by the city of Lindsay.
That's harder than it looks, but no one.
Yeah, that was pretty long.
Hello, my name is Sophie Valdez, and I'm currently from Portable, California. I currently am working as a CSO for the Lindsay Police Department. Outside of work, I'm also pursuing a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Sacramento State via the online program. In my free time, I enjoy traveling, going to sporting events, and many concerts. My time so far at Lindsay has been a great experience. The camaraderie that the city and the department has offered me has been extremely supportive. I appreciate all of the support and guidance that I have received, and I'm excited to grow my career with the Lindsay Police Department and for all the opportunities ahead.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome, Lindsay. Thank you. Thank you.
So at this time, we'll move on to 12.1, the National Public Works Proclamation. That one. So whereas works professional focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital and important to sustainable and resilient communities and public health, high quality of life and well-being of people of the city of Lindsay. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of the government and private sector. Managers and employees, privates who are responsible for rebuilding, improving and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essentials for our citizens. And whereas it is the public interest of the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Lindsay to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs and their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Parks and Public Works Week sponsored by American Public Works Association. Be it now and therefore be it resolved that I, Misty Villarreal, do hereby recognize May 17th through the 23rd of 2026 as National Public Works Week and call upon all residents to acknowledge and celebrate the essential contribution of our public works professionals. Thank you for what you do.
And we also have a proclamation for National Law Enforcement Memorial Week. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Police Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Currently, tens of thousands of law enforcement officers from around the world converge on Washington, D.C. to participate in a number of planned events which honor those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And whereas there are more than 700,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Lindsay Department of Public Safety. And whereas since the first recorded law enforcement death in 1786, more than 24,000 officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and were killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these devoted public servants are permanently engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas it is important that all citizens recognize the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices undertaken by our brave men and women in law enforcement, whose unwavering commitment ensures that our families and communities may thrive in peace. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor of the city of Lindsay hereby proclaims the week of May 11th through 16th of 2026 as National Police Week in the city of Lindsay. We publicly express sincere gratitude to the men and women of law enforcement who make it possible for us to leave our homes and families in safety each day, knowing they stand ready to protect our loved ones, property, and freedoms, even at the risk of their own life. Proclaimed this 12th day of May 2026 by the mayor of the city of Lindsay and the city council. Thank you for everything you do.
Yes, thank you. Explain.
Not all at once. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for what you guys do.
Good. Goodbye.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. It's gonna be our council report. Yeah. At this time, we'll move on to council report, and we can start.
Welcome, everybody. Bienvenidos a todos. It's been about a month since we met. It's been busy. I'm very proud that we're able to celebrate the Orange Blossom. It's Citrus Dreaming. And I participated in quite a few events, but it was a great festival. Thank you to the organizers. Congratulations to the Prince, Queen, and Court, and the honored couple. After that, we were able to attend the League of Cities event in Sacramento to lobby. We were able to meet with the California Department of Parks, the Arts Council, the Department of Water Resources. We were also able to meet with Representative Macedo, and we were fortunate enough to be able to be introduced in the assembly floor, which is very, very special. Everybody recognized the city of Lindsay. I was able to introduce the mayor to the speaker of the assembly. Rivas, yeah, Speaker Rivas. And so, we chat about Lindsay, and it was great. We're advocating for the city. We're learning about different programs, about different opportunities, about how the budget looks statewide for this year and the next year. It's very important that we maintain a proactive approach and advocating for the city of Lindsay, attending these lobbying efforts, these conferences, keeps us up to date on what's possible, keeps us in tune with what's going to be available for us. So it was great to be able to participate in that and represent the city of Lindsay. I was able to also participate in the grand opening of the Jalapeno Grill, which we had dinner today with them. And so thank you to them, congratulations to them, and I look forward to more grand openings. I also want to report out the Lindsay Skimmers Swim Recreation Club was able to finalize a team. We're up to 90 swimmers, which is next to double what we had last year. So it's something that we're building on, and I look forward to continue to build that program. I also wanted to say that we have a potato sale, the Skimmers and via Friday Night Market, as well as the Parks program will have one May 18th. So if anybody's looking for potato sales, there's plenty of people selling them. We're selling them. It's for a good cause. It's for our team. It's for Parks. It's for a bunch of different efforts. So please support. Potatoes are really good. So I look forward to seeing you all there. And I was also able to participate in an arts presentation by the youth. Some of the learners were chosen to display their art at our wonderful museum right next door. So I was able to go over and check it out. My son was able to display his art. He's quite a little artist, so it was nice. And I look forward to all the events this spring. I want to make it out to the Tiny Hitters, softball.
This weekend.
And so, yeah, I look forward to being part of that somehow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So we also, were at the Orange Blossom, Parade Festival. And Senator Hurtado came up, to me. She's a really nice lady. And she's made a comment to me about, I didn't know that you guys had a theater. I'm like, girl, we have a theater and here's their float. So I walked her over to the float. I introduced her to Jim, and Janet Clable, to talk about our theater and to talk about, how we need some help and some funding, which kind of got a little bit of momentum, and hopefully, we were able to there is some grants for arts. So hopefully we're able to get something coming to our town and to fix up the theater and to kind of include other arts and businesses in the grant. I also was at the Lindsay Museum. Our daughter also got picked as to display her art. It was really neat to see all the parents show up, and there was a guitar ensemble was playing there. It was so cool. The kids were super proud of their work, and they did a phenomenal job with it. We also attended the mayor and I, Dollars for Scholars, and the jalapeno grill ribbon cutting. So it's been a month. And oh yes, the Lion King, their premiere. It is Friday at 7:30, Saturday at 7:30, and Sunday at 2. If you guys want some laughs, please come on Friday, because that's when they're kind of learning their lines. They're still kind of remembering. It's gonna be neat. So we get to watch it 6 times. So if you guys want to join us next time, please come join us. One of our daughters is also in the play. It's really neat and it's really, really cute. So come join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
No,
Okay.
just to add to that, I don't want to repeat anything they said regarding the ribbon cutting, the jalapeno grill.
We're out together.
I did go to the Friday night market. I know I live near Lindsay, but I really don't go often. But I did go for 2 weekends and I don't think I want to go again, only because it was super packed. But it's good to see everybody out there having fun, dancing. The food is great. And I also want to say Happy Mother's Day to the mothers out there, and hopefully you had a good, Mother's Day weekend.
Thank you. All right. I won't repeat everything also, but yeah, I attended everything they attended with Sacramento. Super blessed to get announced on the Assembly and the Senate floor, like just representing Lindsay and making sure that we can get Lindsay on the map and they know what Lindsay is and you know what we're trying to do. Tiny Hitters, I believe it's the last weekend this weekend, so go out and see them. They're so cute. Like they all run through the ball. My son's part of it. I attended the soccer. My son also plays on the soccer, but that program is phenomenal. I attended baseball and high school LHS games, doing pretty good. The ribbon cutting, go out and support the jalapeno grill. The barbecue is amazing. The OBF week, that was exhausting, but it was good. And then $1 for scholars. So that's everything I have to report today. Thank you. I don't know what I'm looking at before, but I'm looking at kind of. At this time, we're gonna move on to public comment. Under the rules in addressing the city council, members of the public may address the city council on matters within the jurisdiction of the city of Lindsay. Persons wishing to address the council concerning an item on the agenda will be invited to address the council during the time council is considering the agenda item. Persons wishing to address the council concerning issues not on the agenda will be invited to address the council during the public comment portion of the meeting. When invited by the mayor to speak, please step up to the lectern, state your name, city residence, and make your comment. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. At this time, we're taking public comment.
Good afternoon. My name is Teresa Saucedo. I have lived at 249 North Dale Hill Avenue since 1985. I'm here because I care deeply about Lindsay, and I strongly oppose the proposal to sell our water system. Water is not just infrastructure. It's not a line on a budget. It is life. It's what every child in Lindsay drinks, what keeps our families healthy, and what our seniors depend on every single day. And I understand the reality. We all do. Our water system needs investment. It needs repairs. Those are real challenges, and they can't be ignored. But selling the system to a private company is not a solution without consequences. Because yes, maybe a private company comes in and makes those repairs. Maybe they upgrade our wells and infrastructure. They don't do that for free. They do it to make a profit. And the data shows who ends up paying for that. We do. For a low-income community like ours, it would mean that our families would be spending an unaffordable percentage of their income on water alone, leaving even less for food, housing, and transportation. So when we talk about repairing our water system through privatization, we have to be honest. Those costs don't disappear. They can't get passed directly onto the people of Lindsay, on working families, on seniors, on farm workers, on the very people who can least afford it. We've seen this happen in other places. Rates have increased significantly after the sale, and residents are left paying the price. So the question isn't whether repairs will happen. The question is who controls them and who pays for them. If we keep our system public, we still control those decisions. We still decide how to invest, how to protect affordability, and how to prioritize people over profits. If we sell it, we lose control. We lose the ability to set our own future. We lose transparency. We lose accountability. And once it's gone, it's incredibly hard and expensive to get back. Please don't accept short-term relief while giving up long-term stability. Invest in our system, fix it, but keep it public, keep it accountable, and keep it in the hands of the people it serves. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe more public comment?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the Council, Public Assembly. Before I get started, what I'd like to do is to give the city clerk a copy of the comments that I sent each of you via email to make it part of the public record. Thank you. And I would also ask your indulgence, having served in the capacity of mayor of Lindsay. I sat in those chairs, so I understand some of these issues in a different way that perhaps other members of the public do not. I'm opposed to the privatization of our water utility. Contrary to some assertions, this process is not just beginning. It is well underway. By the time this issue is placed on the ballot, the critical window for public debate and structural vetting will be bypassed. True public vetting happens when a path is chosen, not after. The process should be slowed down immediately. The community deserves meaningful public engagement, complete financial transparency, and a genuine opportunity to evaluate alternatives before surrendering control of its water system forever. Artificial deadlines created by the city should not dictate a decision of this magnitude. Indeed, no financial model has been published, yet the public is being asked to consider a permanent transformational change to our community's water system without complete or reliable financial information. The only scheduled public forum will take place shortly before the November election, after negotiations with the proposed buyer have already advanced and been completed. That forum will not be designed to engage the public in a meaningful discussion about whether this community even wants privatization. Instead, it will serve as a sales pitch conducted by the very proposed purchaser itself. By that point, this council will have effectively surrendered control of the process and handed it over to the buyer without ever providing residents a genuine opportunity to fully debate the merits, risks, long-term consequences of this decision as a community. And by then, the public will be left listening to a polished salesman, promising that everything will be better from day one. Haven't we heard that before? While the people most affected by this decision will have been denied a meaningful voice in shaping it. Furthermore, there is an inherent contradiction in the let the voters decide argument. That argument is specious. It ignores the reality of Lindsay. The severe economic and social burdens of a privatized water system will be borne disproportionate by our farm workers and immigrant neighbors, many of whom, due to legal status or systemic barriers, do not have the right to vote and will have absolutely no say in this election. To assert the community will decide when a massive portion of our actual community is structurally silenced is a profound mischaracterization and disingenuous. Your duty is to act on behalf of everyone, the powerless and the powerful. Moreover, it is a contradiction to say,
Thank
Let
you.
the
Your
Democratic
time is
process-
up. Thank you.
may I ask for indulgence, please?
I'll give you one more minute.
Thank you. We will be subject to the whims of private for-profit corporation. In regulatory battles before the California Public Utilities Commission, that company will always hold the advantage. They will leverage an advantage of regulatory complexity rather than local transparency to push through rate hikes, leaving our entire residents, voters and non-rural voters, completely defenseless. No one will protect us from rate increases, and we will be powerless to protect ourselves. Do not hide behind the ballot box to escape the light of public scrutiny. Water is life. El agua es vida. And the moment we privatize the people's water, we surrender more than a resource. We surrender our vida itself. When corporations control the water, they control the people. I
Thank you.
urge this council to pause this process, commit to transparency, and protect local control for everyone who calls Lindsay home. Thank you. I would
Thank you.
also urge you, under item 16, request for future items, I request that the vice mayor set a hearing on this issue for a future agenda item. Thank you.
The 3 minutes is crucial, guys, because I know there's quite a few people that want to speak, so I don't want to be like that.
I will quote,
Okay,
release some
Yeah.
of mine, okay? Don't penalize them.
I'm not penalizing them.
Okay, well, good evening, my name is Leonora, is this on? Is it on? Is it on? The green light is on, yes, it is, okay. Oh, there, now it's, thank you. Good evening, my name is Leonora Sedna. My residence is 22256 Avenue 256, which obviously is not within the boundaries of the city limit. However, I've been asked that question quite frequently. Leonora, why do you even care? Well, I'm gonna explain to you why I care and why you should care as well. I'm here because I have family that reside in the boundaries, within the boundaries of the city of Lindsay. I have family members that reside within the boundaries of the city of Lindsay. I own 2 businesses that are within the boundaries of the city of Lindsay. I own properties within the boundaries of the city of Lindsay. I care what happens in this community. And I would like it to thrive and prosper for our future generations. In my opinion, the view of privatizing the water from the city of Lindsay is not a good choice for our community. I am disappointed that this is at the stage where we're at on this matter. There are certainly many other options that need to be explored. This is not the last resort. An issue I have is with transparency. Last Friday, I had an opportunity to informally actually see Councilmember Flores at a private event. And I expressed to her my concern on this issue. And I shared that I was disappointed that the entire council voted unanimously to go ahead with this matter. And she says, well, we did bring up concerns. And I go, when and where? That has not been anywhere on any of the agendas privately. Okay, so you have private matters on this issue. I think transparency is key on matters of this magnitude that affect our residents. Granted, you do have a meeting scheduled, but in my opinion, that's after the fact. You should have had public input on this matter before you voted. Furthermore, I also expressed to council member that I had a concern in reference to the expense that this was posed on the city. Her feedback was, well, they're gonna give us money. And I'm going, who's gonna give you money? And she says, well, the buyers that are buying the water. Does this sound good to you? It doesn't sound good to me. And my question is, what other things are you making deals with? It's just not a pretty picture. Furthermore, you state that the citizens will be voting for this. Not all residents have a vote nor a voice, but will bear the financial burden. Here are the stats. In Lindsay, there are 4,400 registered voters as of February 10th of 25, and 12,706 residents. And that means, definition, that only a few of the residents of Lindsay will be making the decision to deal with the burden of it. I don't think this is a good plan for it, and I'm disappointed that you have gone this route. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is William L. Harris. I live at 304 Laurel in Lindsay. My parents bought the house in 1957. I live in it now with my family. I don't think this is a good idea. She wouldn't do this. I think it's a bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, council members, my name is Jim Park. I'm a civil engineer. I live here in the city of Lindsay. I'm retired. There's no situation that I can foresee, and I've been in and out of the water business most of my adult professional life, where you can decrease the cost to the users by privatizing the system. You shield the system from access to public funds, from specific grants that the federal government provides for city members and incorporated cities that are not available to private corporations. And you're going to impose costs, I guess, roughly from 30 to 70% increase in the direct cost per 100 cubic feet of water for the system users of this city. I think it's not a clear system. You have not reviewed the options, and I don't see a single engineer sitting on this council to make a decision that has information available and specific documented history and a personal experience to understand the level of complexity of the financing and the problem you're gonna get yourself into. You better look at this much, much closer and analyze the costs, both to you as the city and the users. You're supposed to represent them. How can you represent them and have a cost increase like that staring you in the face? Right now, you're looking at a system that's aged. You're requiring major financial funding to fix the systems that we see right now. When's the last time you had a clean technical report of the water quality of the city? Can anybody tell them? It hasn't happened in the last 5 years. What's the cost to fix the system to make them pass? Who's going to pay the bill? We are. No matter which way we go, the cheapest way is for you to fix it, not a private company. Because a private company is going to cost you more. They're going to have to, you're going to take a profit on top of that. And the people are going to pay the bill for it. If you're here to represent the people, look at the cost. Make your decision based on that, and not what you get out of it. I recognize the city has financial issues. Yes, they do. This is not a solution. Thank you.
What was your name again?
Jim Hart. I live at 383 North Foothill.
Thank you.
City staff. My name is Anita Gustafson. And, I have something to say also about the water privatization. But first of all, I've heard that Lindsay water is safe. I have a couple of questions. Why should a large corporation be allowed to profit on the backs of us Lindsay residents? This permanent decision, I feel like it's being rushed. Yeah, a handful of us do. And, I think, it shouldn't be rushed with the long-term consequences. Of course, large corporations will have resources to market this as a great deal. And I feel like it's being rushed, and the residents, they need facts and the transparency to understand this fully. And I don't think that any Lindsay resident should have to worry about affordable water. And then again, why isn't the city considering other alternatives? What about a 5-year plan? Why not revisit the August 27th, 2024 rate set? And let's look at that again. Maybe we can do something different. Surrounding cities have managed to keep their water systems public. Exeter, Tulare, Hanford, Porterville, even Corcoran. So
you know, it's like through mismanagement through all these years. It's happened over a long period of time to get us to where we're at now. It's like, we just want to try and fix it with one fell swoop, just take one swing at it. So I just think too, we're rushing this, and I think we just really need to rethink it again. In March 24th, 2026, we had all these water main replacement projects and the well 11 rehab project. So it's like, so we are working towards it. Let's just keep going. Thanks.
Thank you, Anita.
Hello, my name is Grace Delgado and I live on 848 Homicide. Mayor, council member, and city manager. Finding out that our city council is proposing the privatization of Lindsay's public water system without notifying the residents of Lindsay is quite disturbing. It is your responsibility as council members to inform the residents of such important issues the city is facing. This is huge. Did you ever consider informing the residents of Lindsay in order to receive feedback on your recommendation? After being informed of this, I had to educate myself on the important issue that will have a huge impact on the entire city of Lindsay. You know, we are a poor community. This will impact our community for a long time. Selling our water system to a private company outside our city is like letting a stranger babysit your kids. This is not a good idea. Those companies are profit-making organizations who answer to their shareholders, not to the Lindsay water customers. Any improvements are made by raising our water bills, sometimes exorbitantly. Furthermore, we will lose our say in any decisions now and in the future. If the city wants to buy back our water system in the future, it will be nearly impossible. It may take years of court battles, fees, and a huge payout most cities cannot afford. We should pursue grants, low interest loans, now and in the future. Most small cities who have privatized their water system regret it. Please don't let this happen to Lindsay. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any more comment? At this time, public comments closed.
She got it.
Go ahead. Let's take it back.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Luisa Quesada. El 88.8% de las personas que viven en esta ciudad son de habla hispana. Primero que todo, no tenemos una traducción adecuada. Tenemos personas que están tratando de acceder al Zoom y no entienden nada de lo que se está diciendo aquí. Privatizar el agua, es muy fácil decirlo, vamos a hacer esto ahora, pero las malas decisiones de las personas que estuvieron antes de ustedes en las que nos traen a números rojos por décadas aquí. El privatizarla es simplemente pérdida de control estratégico, enfoque en las ganancias de calidad para otras empresas, no para la ciudad. Monopolizar lo que tenemos. El agua no es limpia, ya lo sabemos. Y sabemos que nuestra calidad del agua no es buena, la presión no es buena. En el 2024 se tomó la decisión de que se iban a subir los costos. ¿Qué le estamos dejando a la siguiente generación? Es muy fácil solamente lavarnos las manos ahora y tomar la decisión de decir, esto es lo mejor que yo pienso que yo puedo hacer, pero ¿cuáles van a ser las consecuencias a largo plazo? A largo plazo, día tras día, seguimos perdiendo más y más y más infraestructura, más agua y más cosas que por derecho les corresponden a las personas que viven en esta ciudad y que pagan sus biles. Una decisión así debería de ser compartida por todos los miembros de la ciudad, porque todos colaboramos, todos pagamos biles. Esto se debería de extender más para que esas personas sepan realmente lo que están pasando y sepan que privatizar es básicamente darle poder a compañías que no les importan sus residentes. Les importa solamente sacar dinero de nuestras ciudades y sacar y sacar y sacar sin importar lo que los residentes puedan pasar después de eso. Las decisiones que ustedes tomen ahora en día son las decisiones que nos siguen marcando. Y el futuro de lo que ustedes hagan con esta decisión es lo que va a marcar si vamos a avanzar o vamos como el cangrejo, para atrás y para atrás. Por todas esas personas que muchas veces tienen miedo a venir a hablar y a venir a tratar de hacer un cambio, son esas personas que están trabajando todos los días en el FIT. Y son todas estas personas que van a decidir si van a pagar sus medicinas o si van a tener que pagar por el agua. Tomen en consideración todo eso antes de tomar una decisión, porque lo más fácil es decir, yo estoy haciendo lo que pienso que es mejor, sin tener todas las diferentes oportunidades en la mesa para realmente decir si esta es la mejor decisión para la ciudad o no. Ya sabemos que las tuberías se tienen que cambiar, tienen más de 100 años, están porosas. Sabemos que necesitamos muchas cosas en la ciudad.
Thank you.
Gracias.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Mi
Luisa.
nombre es Luisa Quesada.
Aquí,
Aquí en Lindsay. Sí, aquí vivo.
All right. This time public comment is closed. We are moving on to the city manager report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's stated that we've gone through quite a few events, Orange Blossom Festival. One thing that wasn't noted, during the Orange Blossom Festival is that, Lindsay had the opportunity to host, some international artists from Korea. So we had the opportunity to have a forum that talked about, how AI, artificial intelligence was utilized with the creation of art, what that looked like from a city perspective, as well as what the individual artists, which I believe all of them, utilize it to a certain degree in the creation of their craft. So that we were able to host here in this chambers, followed by a very short art show. It was up for a whole night, as it was during Orange Blossom's Festival art show. But we also had a nice, beautiful art show at the museum next door, where they were able to showcase their artwork. I do believe that the artists all agreed to keep the artwork here in Lindsay, and so at some time in the near future, it will be up again for a more extended period of time that the Art Association was able to work on. So hopefully more people will be able to enjoy it beyond that. But it was a great opportunity to showcase some folks that have really done something fantastic in the contemporary art field. We've also, staff has been working diligently on budget. We presented a preliminary workshop last month. And so we continue to work on that and continue to work on tightening of funds and making sure that we're falling in line with revenues and look to bring a balanced budget to you next month. It's also mentioned about the various events. League of Cities Conference, I will say we had some very fruitful discussions, and I just I appreciate our mayor and mayor pro tem that were present. I think having council present and having members and staff here from their perspective as well is very important. And I appreciate the efforts of our lobbyists as well, who set up quite a few meetings for us to get into. We spoke directly with decision makers, with folks that are administering grant funds and administering the programs and evaluating those. So we had some good FaceTime. They provided some helpful feedback. And some are interested in doing some follow-up meetings that we're currently coordinating and working on scheduling. So hopefully at the next council meeting, we'll have more to report on that at that point in time. A couple other notes, as far as things that, we've been working on, we have opened up bids for our well 11 rehabilitation. And so that is currently, out, and so we've had quite a bit of interest already from some different well companies. So that's looking very favorable. We are hoping to, award a construction package for that, next month. And with hopefully construction happening shortly thereafter, so, we anticipate that the construction will be about a year. And then there's, quite a bit of testing that also takes place after the fact to make sure that it's meeting standards, so, all in, it may be about a year and a half before it's operational and usable to actually, be a part of our ongoing system, but it's something that, that well, as a reminder, has not been operational since 2007. It does have some contaminants in it currently, and so we will have filtration systems on site, that will clean up those contaminants. And it's from the testing that we've done over the past 6 months or so, it's still producing very well. So it's in a good spot and should be able to help us with our ongoing needs, to help meet the existing demand. We also, yesterday put out, our bid for our road rehab projects, around Jefferson School on the west side of town. So that's Westwood, that's Central, Van Ness, Mariposa, Kern. So that is, that bid is also out. And we are also anticipating to, close that and come back to council next month for that award, for construction. And that, we are anticipating constructing that, at the end of summer before school, starts, and hitting that summer break before Jefferson's back in school. So, that will be a much, quicker turnaround time, but, something that is much needed if you've driven on that part of town. Lastly, we're working on, some upgrades to the pool deck, there at the Wellness Center and City Pool. So we've got some design work, and also are anticipating, in a future meeting coming, with that, to look at, a bid process as well as, constructing redoing that, which is much needed, if you've been out there. And, that's all I have.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. Routine items approved in one motion unless an item is pulled for discussion. There will be no separate discussion of these matters unless a request is made, in which event the item will be removed from the consent calendar to be discussed and voted upon by separate motion. Do I have a motion? Go ahead and say it.
Yeah, I want to request to pull item 13.10, the approval of the extraterritorial sewer connection.
Is that the only one you said?
Yeah, is that true? Is anybody else?
I want to get full of, the 13.11.
13.1, so 13.1. The setting public hearing date, or that one?
Yeah, so much of people.
Okay.
I move we approve, all but 13.10 and 13.11.
Ready for a motion?
Second.
Who was the first? Oh, Dave, is that from all in favor?
Comment.
I,
Motion carries 5-0.
Discuss 13.10.
okay, I just wanted to know, is it possible that we can just do,
I think yours is for 1311.
yeah, already,
Where's 13.10?
So that,
oh, sorry.
it's a territorial.
Sorry.
We've been out of order all night, but
Yeah.
I just was curious, reading throughout the process, of West, how the fee they said is double what we usually pay, like what someone in the city pays. Can you elaborate just on the process And why is it's double just because it's outside the city limits? I was curious.
So, yeah, the fees are per code, so they're within the ordinance. And those fees were established. Yeah, so there's that, it's just the amount of work that's gonna take to.
And then so do they contract someone to do the work, or and we just check it when it's finalized, or we're not doing the work, it's some, it's at their cost?
We're doing the inspections.
Yeah. So they pay for the inspection fees and all the permits and all that, and but then they actually pay for the connection to the sewer as well.
That's correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, I don't want people to think that we're connecting someone free and they're just paying the inspection fees and permits. They have to pay out of pocket because they're on sewer, because they're on a county island, and us being good neighbors, we're connecting them because we can. It's close, right? It's feasible.
Correct.
Perfect.
So they pay for all the repairs or anything that needs to be dug up and all that stuff?
And obviously the permits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Clarification? No, for sure.
Yeah, so the fees all in are just under $1,700, and again, for code, we have plenty of capacity on the sewer system, so there shouldn't be any impact to, any existing customer.
Good, okay. Do I need to vote on that one right away or no?
Motion.
Do I have a motion for 13.10?
I motion to approve 13.1.
Second.
I have a motion from Soria and Nate, all in favor? Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
And some clarification on 13.11.
Yes, I just, the tax rules, this is for I know I understand it for the whole amount. And I know that we had some talk on just, is it possible to just do, for the people that are delinquent and not the whole city to pay, to put the tax roll, towards the property? I mean, the tax.
The reason why the refuse is still on the property tax roll is because it was something that was required with our agreement with Mid Valley. So that's why we put refuse on the tax roll, not just delinquent, because of the whole charge. So if we were to not do that, it would be a breach of that.
For this time, but is there a way where we can come back and open that up, or possibly
To revisit?
Yes, thank you.
So I think the answer is we can have those discussions with Mid Valley Disposal to see if they would be interested in having that changed. I know that was negotiated at the last franchise agreement, which was 5+ years ago. So they have expressed some interest informally that they would actually prefer us not doing that. So I do think that they would be open to some of those discussions, and then we would just need to figure out what that looks like. So if they're not, if we're not billing this way through the property tax rolls, then either they would need to send out bills or we possibly could. So that would, if we did, then that would be an extra staffing, just making sure and a cost that we'd have to figure out, but those are possible options.
Just to open up the conversation, that's what we're doing.
Do you know how long the contract is for, the agreement? Or when it gets reimbursed?
Yeah, so the agreement was that was approved was a 10-year ongoing evergreen contract, which means that every year that you do not give a non-renewal notice, they add an additional year. And so what was normally a 10-year process that we'd be over halfway through with it now is actually we have 9 more years. So last year, we noticed that was the case, and so we submitted a non-renewal. And that doesn't mean that we're going with a different trash company. We still have had a 10-year contract with them, but so 1 year we're approaching the 1-year mark of that, so we'll have another 9 years on that contract. So essentially, what was initially a 10-year contract has become a 15-year contract.
But if you say that Mid Valley is interested in maybe changing that agreement, maybe we could come and do like an addendum or something to the contract? Or-
We can definitely try and negotiate other aspects of it, which I think would be beneficial. It'd really be up to them as far as whether or not they would be willing to, bend on some of the other items, so. But it's, I think to your point, there's probably some worthwhile discussions to have on lots of different fronts.
That's good. Okay, do I have a motion for 13.11?
Motion to approve.
A motion from Sanchez, second from Gloria, all in favor? Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, at this time, we're moving on to the public hearing, the 14.1 energy service contract with Southland Industries and adopting resolution number 2615, and this is moved by Karen, right, Karen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have, some guests tonight from Southland Industries. We've been having discussions with Southland, for a number of months. They've been working with staff to evaluate. One of the things that we've been doing, not only, looking at new revenue, but we've also been looking at how do we, cut costs. We know that, energy is a large cost. Electricity, we use quite a bit of it, natural gas to a lesser degree, but we do heat our pool. And so there is some natural gas elements as well. And so just evaluating all that looks like. City Hall is a 90-year-old building. It was built 90 years ago this year, and has had some upgrades over the years, but not a whole lot as it relates to energy efficiency. Most of it has been superficial, as well as other sites. So Southland has evaluated that. They've looked at a number of different measures. And here tonight, we have Mike May. We also have Maria. And I believe we have Trevor on the line as well.
Will.
Oh, Will, excuse me, thank you, for correcting that. So, I'll turn it over to them, and they have a presentation that I'd like to go over, before we get into the rest of it.
Thanks, Skylar. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike May. I'm the county executive for Southland Industries. This is Maria Osborne. She's our project developer person. Skylar said we have both Trevor, who's our well. So we've conducted we've been working on this since September of last year. Joseph and Marshall walked us around the facility, so thank you to those guys. Also Armando, thank you. We requested a lot of information from you over the time. Appreciate you timely response, and Tyler, obviously. So project overview. This is a comprehensive facility improvement project addressing the deferred maintenance, capital improvements, and energy efficiency upgrades across multiple city buildings in the city of Lindsay. This project will generate $3 million in lifetime energy savings. It'll reduce greenhouse gas emissions by approximately 625 metric tons over the lifetime of the project. And we're able to bundle the necessary infrastructure improvements, such as your windows and your roof repair. There's something called government code GC 4217. We're able to leverage and bundle these infrastructure projects with the energy measures to improve the overall building performance.
And flip ahead 2 slides. That's it.
There should be a clicker on the.
Oh. Thank you. Yeah, so as Mike said, these are we looked at a bunch of different stuff. These are sort of the 7 key measures that we've bundled together into a comprehensive project. So it's including stuff that's going to save energy, but also taking advantage of that 4217 to get some deferred maintenance done on some things that need to be updated and replaced in the city. A good example of that, HVAC replacement. So 23 aging HVAC units across the city. So in a lot of buildings where they're used quite frequently, but also replacing the units in the museum, for example, the senior center, places that it's more of a capital improvement. We're able to get that done under this project, also the wastewater treatment and, everything on city block would get updated HVAC systems. All of those systems, including the, let's see, the 4 units at the wellness center would be on a new control system. So that's huge for energy savings. There'd be one front end where you could see and control all of the HVAC systems, set points, set schedules. So stuff isn't running when the buildings aren't in use. Weather changes, stuff can be updated remotely. Same for LED lighting. So a lot of the buildings have been updated. This would go through update everything, huge energy savings from doing that. Also, while we're in updating the lighting, we would update, it would aesthetically change the look of things, of course, and update like ceiling tiles in high profile areas for the finance office and in this room. A big part of this project is solar PV, so lots of electricity savings from that. So we took a look at a bunch of different units, or a bunch of different potentials and sort of landed on 2 really good options, being the rooftop at the fire police department, since that's 2 years old. Great flat open roof, great place for solar. And then we looked at a bunch of different options at the wellness center and came up with a shade structure that is the correct size correctly to offset the power being used, the rest of the power that isn't offset by the solar that's already there. On the sort of the south side, I think it is, and programming could be done under there, under the shade as well. Another aspect of that that's really nice is everything will be put on the same front end, including the solar that's already existing at the wellness center, which there isn't visibility into right now. So that will be added to this new system. So you have one front end to take a look at all the solar. The pump drive replacement, so that's well 15. I know there's been some failures from that pump drive with a bunch of debris. We took a look at the cabinets. There's debris getting into that cabinets. It's not rated for the weather that's happening here essentially. And so when it gets hot, that drive shuts down and the pump is not usable. So we're proposing to put in a higher rated enclosure there and also adding a bypass so that if it does fail in the future, you're not running into what you're running into now where you have to shut the whole well down. You're able to go around and manually bypass that drive. And then as Mike mentioned, window replacements in this building and city services and the police and fire department. Aesthetically will look nice, but also energy savings there. And then the roof, purely a capital, project, but we're up there replacing 4 of the 5 existing pieces of equipment. So a good time to go in and get that roof replaced. This is just a map, kind of shows where everything is that we're looking at doing. I think this next slide is a better example of, so it's across 10 buildings, I believe. And this just shows every measure and which building it's happening in. Also color coded to show which projects, well 15 in the roof replacement, are purely capital improvement. There aren't any energy savings coming from that, but under 4217, you're able to bundle that into one project.
And project financials, fun part. This current project price is $4,285,381. There are incentives coming from the solar, which is right around $550,000. So your net project budget will be $3,731,356. There is an annual utility savings of just under $57,000, and then an estimated annual O&M savings, $20,540. So your total lifetime 23-year savings for this project is right at $3 million.
And those incentives are the investment tax credit, which is being sunset, but we would be able to get this project $500,000 by connecting those 2 new solar arrays before the end of December of 2027. So that's where those incentives are coming from. So looking at staggering all this into a 15-month construction period, prioritizing things such as well 15 so that that is operational for you folks. So that is contingent on review of the contract, financing, and assuming a construction starting in July. It would end October 2027, which gives some wiggle room for that ITC for the city to be able to get that $500,000 back at the end of the year. Just another quick view at sort of what the next steps are, how this would proceed with contract review approvals, then the financing implementation starting, excuse me, in July, and then the performance happening at the end of 2027. That performance period is when you would start seeing those savings of $20,000 a year. Excuse me. That's what we have prepared. We've got some details on all of the measures. If there's any specific questions about any of the measures, we can get into it, but wanted to keep it fairly quick for you folks. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. Is this something that we put out to bid?
No, this is what we're talking about is a sole source option.
Okay, well, I'm just speaking for myself. I would really like any type of thing that we're gonna vote on to be put out to bid.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the financing, you were talking about it, so I see what this is. There's some folks that wanna finance it, I'm just curious if you can explain and elaborate how that will happen and how we put that into our budget as we're working on the budget for.
And if there are any grant, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is there any like, there's a lot of energy saving grants for the state of California, yeah. So if they could help us out in any kind of fashion.
Yeah, so, let's talk about the grants first. So the grants, have really dried up, with the current administration in Washington, as it relates to energy efficiency. So there's not quite as much, as there used to be. We've identified the one that's just over $500,000, $554,000 for solar in particular, but that has a sunset time frame that will end at the end of next year. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot more. There used to be, all of the utilities, so Southern California Edison in our case, used to provide quite a bit of incentives to go above and beyond Title 24, which is our building energy standards. However, as California has continued to increase energy standards and to hold new construction to higher thresholds, those incentives have gone away. Because the state's not going to give you an incentive to do what's already the minimum code standard. So that's in part why we've lost out on lighting upgrades, HVAC units, what we're primarily looking at. I know, do we know the age of some of the HVAC units as far as, because I know we have some that we found were quite old, and so at the end of its existing life, and depending on what some of these projects are, there's quite a bit of different things that just haven't been looked at. And when we look at a deferred maintenance that haven't been fixed or addressed, and so we're really trying to look at a holistic viewpoint of correcting and getting new equipment so that we don't have future emergencies where we have to scramble and figure out what to do with replacing these things. I will say on the financing portion of it, we looked at Southern California Edison. They do have a financing program called on-bill financing. It's 0% loan. There are very strict requirements as far as energy savings and when the buyback is down. There are a few opportunities to utilize that program, but overall it's a fairly minimal dollar amount as far as the overall scope of this. California, Energy Commission also has a low interest loan program for cities. It's a 1% loan, that's up to 20 years. We've, spoken with our lobbyists about it. They, set up a meeting. We discussed it with the CEC. The process is currently closed right now, but they are anticipating to open it back up in January. And they will have tens of millions of dollars able to fund that. They also have a cap on the overall dollar amount that they'll fund, and that's capped at $3 million per city that they're able to do. So, addition to those things, we've also looked at traditional financing institutions. So that would be a number of banks, and going out to bid with that and figuring out who would be interested and willing to do that. Some of the preliminary discussions we have in speaking with some banks is that they want audited financials for the last 3 years. Tonight, our next item, we'll be reviewing one of our last 3 years of audited financials, but we're still behind another. So that would still need to go through in order for us to actually see this to fruition. So I think in looking at all of those things, that's why staff's recommending that we continue to look for financing options and only make this approved contingent upon finding a good fit with that, as well as also reducing the overall scope of this. So making sure that we have a scope that makes sense to us, that's a smaller scope, that we can afford, and that really prioritizes what our needs exactly are.
What are we actually really saving right now? Like, what does our energy bill look like right now? I know, sorry.
I mean, we conservatively, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in electric bills. What that is off the top, yeah, we'd have to go back and get that information, but we do use quite a bit of electricity. Again, the lifetime savings of this is over $3 million. There are some projects in here that really aren't energy savings, such as the roof replacement at the senior center, which was approved in the capital improvement project last year during the budget process. That was one of the things that we said we identified as something that needs to be replaced, hence why that's in it. We're going to be up there replacing HVAC units. You know, the well 15 enclosure was also mentioned as far as the drive. Again, that's more of an operational need as far as moving forward and just making sure we have reliability, making sure that we're able to provide water when necessary. So there's not as much savings on those type of things. Lighting, we get extra savings, right? Lighting more than pays for itself. The other elements, not so much. And so it's a matter of not only getting the savings, but it's also a matter of what's needed and do we want to make an investment now as far as getting new equipment in advance of when the emergency happens, and do it one at a time as things continue to fail.
Okay, I'm all in for that. What I'm not into is having a company, and you're fine, it's not your fault, or consultants, without having a bidding process. We need to stick by that, the bidding process. So we need to table this. I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah, I'd also like to do that, just to give us an opportunity to make sure we have the scope appropriate. You know, with the financing traditional banks, like we need the roof at the senior center fixed, and we need to make sure, but I'd like to make sure that we have financing, we have funding.
audit complete.
I wanna, you know, I love climate control and I love being able to save on that, and I wanna get this done sooner than later. But I also want to have, you know, an idea of what it's really gonna cost with the financing. Like, we need to make sure that we have a plan in place to finance any projects, and if we can't find it, it'll be hard. Like, if we can get, you know, the 0% or the 1% from some of those agencies at the state, that'd be great, you know, I'll be all for the larger projects, it's just going out to banks, especially not having our audits in place, just kind of scare me out what type of rates they're gonna offer us.
I thank you guys so much for all your hard work. This is really, really helpful. But I think we need to wait, at least till January, till when we see if the grants come out, or see if any new grants come out right now in the new fiscal year. I mean, it's just a couple months away. But I agree, we do need to make all of these repairs, but there's other stuff that we need to address first to make sure that we have.
You don't want a financial setback.
Yeah. And but you guys did awesome. That was really, really good. Thank you for that presentation, and you guys were very thorough on all your paperwork. But I think we need to wait a little bit longer.
I'm gonna open this up to the public, for public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment for this public hearing? All right, public comment closed.
Can I say something?
Yes, you may.
I just wanted to add also, maybe in the next, meeting that we have regarding this, have some numbers together, not only as a total, but for each building as to why we need it, how much we're gonna save on it, so that way we have an idea of the numbers. That what we're having, because I know what we want, but I think we need to focus on the need first.
So I think it's time. We want to table it.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to make a motion to table,
I move to table this,
15.1.
13.1.
Oh, no, 14.1, sorry.
A second.
So a motion from Flores, a second from Nate, all in favor? Aye.
motion carries 5-0.
At this time, we're moving on to 15.1, our action items. Take it away, Solana.
Thank you very much. I am pleased to say that we have Anthony Gonzalez on Teams meeting. He's going to be doing the presentation for our 23-24 audit. He is one of the audit managers who came in with his team and did the audit for the city for 2023-2024. And so Anthony will do the presentation, and he'll be able to answer some of the questions, and I can be here for any support.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Soledad. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Good evening, Mayor and fellow council members. As Soledad introduced, I am Anthony Gonzalez. I'm an audit manager with Price Page and Company. Tonight, I am here to present the results of the 24 financial statement audit. So that included the city's financial statements, along with the single audit report, which is an audit of the city's federal expenditures. So I have some slides here prepared that I will go ahead and share now. Oh, I just submitted a request to share.
Do you have your presentation already, Anthony?
I'm sorry?
Do you have the presentation you sent me? It's already up on the screen.
Okay, great. I can't see it, so I don't know what slide we're on. But so if we move to the next slide, the agenda. So I'll just briefly kind of talk about the outline of my presentation essentially. So just real briefly, I'll talk about who we are at Price Page and Company and what we do. Then I'll move into the audit scope or the audit process and kind of explain what that looks like from a high level. And then I'm going to focus more on the specific areas that were emphasized during our audit for the 24 fiscal year. And then, of course, I'll finish up by touching on the auditor's reports that were issued and then cover any required communications. So I did save time at the end for any questions that may come up, but also feel free to interrupt me if something doesn't make sense or I go too fast through something. All right, if we can go to the next slide, please, about the firm.
No, we haven't.
So a little bit about us. We were founded in 1976. We're celebrating 50 years of serving clients. We're a top 5 firm in the Central Valley and Fresno surrounding counties. We've developed our reputation through serving governments. So my team specifically, we work on municipalities mostly with a few counties and special districts. Together as a firm, we have over 80 audits of municipalities, special districts, and even nonprofit organizations. Right now, we have about 75 dedicated employees and about 25 certified public accountants. If we can go to the next slide, please. This year's engagement management team consisted of Fausto Hinojosa. He was our he is our managing partner, and he signed the auditor's reports. Again, I was the engagement manager, so I essentially ran the audit with our staff and also our engagement partner. And then we had 2 additional staff members that assisted us with performing audit procedures and preparing documentation, things like that. So combined, we have over 50 years of experience, mostly in the government realm. So that's important because doing an audit of a private company versus doing an audit of a government are 2 vastly different things. So that experience and knowledge allows us to do effective and efficient audits. Okay, if we can go to the next slide, scope of the audit. So now I'm going to move into the scope of our audit. So we were engaged by the city to perform an audit of the city's annual financial statements, and that is in accordance with applicable audit standards. So, I mentioned governmental accounting a few times. There's actually 2 sets of audit standards as it relates to government units. So there's the audit standards that basically everyone follows, generally accepted auditing standards, and then there's government audit standards, which add another layer on top of those standards that relate to things like waste, fraud, abuse, independence rules that are a little bit more strict. So because the city is a recipient and does receive federal funds, we do ensure that we apply our audit in accordance with those standards. Okay, so and we do issue a separate report as a result of following those standards, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So again, we were engaged by the city to perform an audit of the city's annual financial statements in accordance with applicable standards. Also, during the audit, we became aware that the city expended more than $750,000 of federal funds, which triggers a single audit requirement. Okay, so we also performed what's called a single audit or a federal compliance-based audit. Now, these are risk-based audits that are designed to provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. So to kind of break that down, it's risk-based. So we focus our efforts on the areas that we think are most likely to be misstated, whether due to error or fraud. Those are the 2 things that auditors are always kind of looking for. And so we design our audit to provide reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance, not 100%. That would require us to look at every single transaction and every single journal entry. And I don't think Soledad would like us too much if we did that. So the audit standards allow for this risk-based approach that focuses on the risks. Okay. And then when we talk about misstatement, we're talking about how generally accepted accounting principles require transactions and balances to be recorded. Okay, so that changes year to year as new standards come out, and we ensure that if applicable, we're auditing those. But that is what we're talking about when we say a misstatement. All right, if we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so now the audit process from a high level. We again, we're performing a risk-based audit. So the most important thing is that we gain an understanding of the city so that we can identify where those risks may be. So in order to do that, we have to obtain an understanding of how the city operates. That includes fiscal operations, budgeting, and it also includes internal control processes. So we're looking for 2 things essentially when we look at the city's controls. And when I talk about controls, we're talking about the things that management and employees do to achieve a stated objective. So one of those controls may be that we only write a check to vendors that provided services to us. So what controls are in place to ensure that that happens, accurately and consistently? So a big focus is internal controls, and we're looking for two things. Are they effectively designed? And are they placed into operation? So if it's not effectively designed, but the city staff is following it, it's not going to reach its goal. And on the flip side, it could be designed appropriately, but if it's not actually in operation, then that control is not serving its purpose. So we gain this understanding by interviewing city staff, looking at reports, seeing how payroll is processed, seeing how bills are paid, seeing how receipts are recorded, deposits made to the bank. We walk through these to determine what controls are good and what controls aren't. Once we've done that, then we can develop our audit procedures to identify, or I'm sorry, to test whether the balances reported by the city are accurate, essentially. So a lot of the focus is on gaining an understanding of what happened during the year, what kind of balances are on the city's books, and then based on that understanding, developing that audit plan. Okay, we go to the next slide, please. This one is audit areas of emphasis. Okay, so this year, it was our first audit of the city of Lindsay. And in the previous fiscal year, the previous auditor actually didn't provide an opinion on the city's financial statements. They issued a disclaimer of opinion. So when that happens, we actually have to audit the city's opening balances in addition to the ending balances so that we can report confidently on the income statement activity. So that was certainly a unique challenge this year. We're essentially auditing 2 years worth of balances. Within that, we're looking at things like cash and investments. These are large balances. Cash is fungible. And so we're always going to be interested in that. We're looking to make sure that, balances exist. There are reconciliations in place. Investments are properly classified. We also tested the city's revenues and receivables, including enterprise charges for services, so water, sewer, refuse. Some of the most voluminous activity is related to expenses, including salaries, payroll-related costs, and also what's owed to vendors at year end. Another very large piece of the balance sheet are the city's capital assets. So we apply procedures to these balances. This includes leases and also what are called SBITAs, or subscription-based IT arrangements. This is relatively new. And then, of course, the net pension liability and post-employment benefit liabilities. These are actuarially determined. They're estimates, and they're very large liabilities related to current and future services performed by the city's employees. Due to the significant estimate nature, we apply a lot of procedures to these balances as well. And then, of course, as previously mentioned, the single audit compliance with federal awards. So we're actually testing the city's compliance based on what the federal government says the city is supposed to do. So that was, of course, a big focus as well. We can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so that's the audit, the scope of the audit process from a high level and some of the areas that we focused on. Now I'm going to move into the reports that we issued as a result of our audit. So the first is called the Independent Auditor's Report on Financial Statements. This summarizes whether or not the financial statements are free from material misstatement. And I'm pleased to report that the city did receive an unmodified or a clean opinion. So this is the best opinion that the city can receive. And this basically tells users of the financial statements that the audit was performed in accordance with the applicable standards. The financials are fairly presented in all material respects, that significant accounting policies have been consistently applied. So we're interested in that because if accounting policies change year to year, that can be used to manage the income statement, if you will. So we're looking to see that those are consistently applied. The estimates that are included in the financial statements are reasonable, and that the disclosures, so about 40 pages or so of footnotes, are properly reflected and completely reflected in those financial statements. So again, the city received an unmodified opinion, which is very good news. If we can go to the next slide. Now, the next report we issued, I talked about it a little bit before. It's called the Government Audit Standards Report. So because we performed our audit in accordance with government audit standards, we issued this report. What this report does is describes our responsibility regarding the city's internal controls as it relates to this audit. So we are not part of the city's internal control structure. We are external to it. But as part of doing our audit, when we gain this understanding of internal controls, while we're not providing an opinion as to whether or not those are effective, if we happen to identify deficiencies in those controls, we report them here. So this report essentially will summarize any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control or in compliance. So this year we did have 2 material weaknesses in the city's internal control over financial reporting. Those have been summarized in the agenda packet or in our single audit report. Let's see here.
They're also on the cover sheet on the staff report.
Thank you.
Yes, even better. So I do just briefly want to touch on these very, very quickly. Essentially, when we were doing our internal control walkthroughs, we identified that there was a lack of documentation of the city's internal controls. And so in finding 2024-001, we have basically summarized all of those control deficiencies into one finding, okay? So these relate to the design and the implementation of those controls. So it is a mix, but just to kind of highlight on some of the high-level items that we found, personnel with access to unused checks and physical checks also had the ability to add or modify vendors in the master vendor file that can introduce different fraud risks. Changes to the master vendor file were not subject to documented independent review or periodic monitoring. So if a fraudulent vendor was added, there could be a risk that it's in the city system and it's not being corrected or identified. So I would encourage the city council to review these findings. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to help provide context. But in these in organizations where there are limited resources, one thing that we're always interested in is segregation of duties. Sometimes that can be hard to do effectively when, the finance team is 3, 4, 5 people. When that happens, what we look for are compensating controls. And generally what that requires is somebody, generally speaking in management, to provide more oversight over those areas where segregation of duties cannot be maintained. So I think if you look at our recommendation, we recommend that the city kind of evaluate the current control setup and processes and see, okay, what can be segregated properly, what can't, and then what controls do we put in place to alleviate that potential risk that not having segregation of duties creates. The other finding is 2024-002, and this summarizes essentially the result of some of those internal control deficiencies that came from our audit adjustments. So in order to get the financial statements in accordance with GAAP, we had to post many journal entries for various balances and activity. That's what this finding summarizes. Okay, so again, it'll have the same format. It'll talk about the condition, the cause, and then also the related recommendation. So really encourage the city council to take a look at these. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to provide some context there. All right, and also compliance. So if we identified any compliance issues, that would be noted here. I'm pleased to report that we did not identify any of those. All right, and if we could go to the next slide, please. And this is the last report that was issued as part of our audit. And this is the Federal Uniform Guidance Compliance Report. We call it the single audit report. And this actually does provide an opinion as to whether or not the city maintained compliance, material compliance with federal awards. I'm pleased to report that the city did receive an unmodified or a clean opinion again. And we did not identify any internal control over compliance issues. And the CFA, or the Schedule of Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards, is fairly stated in relation to those financial statements, meaning the expenditures that are reported on that CFA can be reconciled to the financial statements. All right, next slide, please. Almost done here. I appreciate your patience. So now I'm going to finish up with the required communications. This is summarized in what we call the audit communication letter, and we issue this on our letterhead at the end of each audit. It is addressed to those charged with governance, and it summarizes some of the key pieces of our audit, some of which have already been talked about. So I'll quickly go through this, but significant accounting policy changes. Anytime there's a new standard or something that has a material effect on the financials, we'll bring it up here. There was a new standard called GASB Statement number 101, or I'm sorry, 100. That'll be next year. 100 was the implementation of error correction. So this really just changed how that gets presented on the financial statements, and it was applicable to the city of Lindsay this year. So we made sure to note it here. The significant estimates included in the city's financial statements include the net pension liability or the retirement liability, other post-employment benefit liability, so healthcare costs generally, and then also depreciation expense. So that is an estimate because you're estimating how long you're going to use a vehicle or a wastewater treatment plant or something like that. So that also plays into those estimates. Sensitive disclosures. So within the back of the financial statements, the disclosures provide context for the balances and activity, things that may be of interest to the city council, restatement of beginning fund balance or net position. This is basically taking those prior year financial statements and saying, hey, this was wrong, we need to fix it. That is summarized in note 14. And then also we identified that the enterprise funds, certain enterprise funds, financial condition had indicators that were worthy of attention to those charged with governance. So I forget off the top of my head which funds those are, but in note 15, you can find that information summarized for your use there. All right, one more slide, I believe. Difficulties encountered in performing the audit. This is where we kind of summarize if the audit was extended or if there were significant journal entries. So given the status of the journal entries that were posted that were required to get the financial statements in accordance with GAAP or generally accepted accounting principles, we identified difficulties related to that, and that is summarized in our letter. The significant audit adjustments that were actually posted have been attached to that letter as well, so you can see what was corrected. We didn't have any disagreements with management, and we're not aware of any fraud or illegal acts. So I believe that will wrap up my presentation. Again, I'm more than happy to try to answer any questions the council may have. And again, I do just want to say thank you to Soledad and her team for putting up with all of our requests. The first year audit is a very labor-intensive learning experience for both management and for the auditor. We have to learn how they do things, and they learn how we do things. So just appreciate her patience and candor in that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. You guys could clearly say that we're moving in a good direction. The big thing slate. I like that. Really comments, questions?
Have you started the next year's audit?
Not yet. We're getting some dates together for, so we can start in.
Is it gonna be easier now that he has all of this information? So it
Yes.
won't be as labor intensive?
It might not be as labor intensive, but they still have quite a big list of requirements. You just won't have to do a lot of the checking the fund balances from the previous audit, because now they know those numbers are good.
Any other questions?
No, I just want to point out note 14. I see and 15. Just we have to adjust the beginning balances from 23-24. So that was an adjustment of millions of dollars, which is a big error. It's not just a rounding error. So I just want to point that out that, to moving forward and correcting some of this. And then also note 15, just so people understand where we're at. The water fund reported a total loss of $856,000. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. This is what the audits report or point to specific things like that. It's good that we're finally heading in the right direction. It's good to know that our accounting principles are getting better. The audits are very important for being able to access funding for a variety of future projects. So I appreciate the efforts from your team, Soledad, and yourself and the auditors. Thank you. I appreciate the assistance. Thank you for taking this on. We had a tough time when our former auditor left us high and dry. So, this is very important. It's part of the most boring part of city government, but it's probably one of the most important as well with the budget. So I really thank you for providing all this information, having patience with the city and our staff. We look forward to continuing to work with you, Anthony, and your team. Thank you, and I look forward to the next.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other? All right, good.
Thank you for taking a chance.
Stay consistent with us, stay with us. I'll take a public comment for 15.1. Public comment is closed. Moving on to 16, request for future items.
We need to take action on 15.1. Set on executive file.
Okay, sorry, yeah, I knew that.
A motion to approve item 15.1, second file, 23-24.
A motion from Sonia, second from Abe, all in favor? Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
On to the next one.
Thank you.
Moving on to request.
Thank you,
for future
everybody.
items.
So, yeah, I was just hoping that we could set something up before the June 16th meeting, regarding, the action we took last month in opening up the statement for qualifications. I think there's a misunderstanding of, that we made a final approval already, and that's not the case. I just want to make sure that there's transparency.
Absolutely.
And that we do all we can to engage. I know, we have a resident speaking Spanish, so we'll provide a translator. Well, just to be able to access, the opinions of folks that may not be able to speak English. That's really founded for the.
Before June 6th. June 9th, yeah. We have something there to say first.
Well, we could have some hearing.
Just for clarification, that's consensus from council to move forward with setting a town hall type of forum.
Or a public hearing, yeah.
Okay.
Several, hopefully. Some in Spanish, some in English.
I would suggest that they would be separate, only because I feel like it's more difficult and it's also longer. So, and also, for example, if the first one's English, any questions that were asked from the residents at that meeting, also to be conveyed to, the other or vice versa.
So two separate ones, one English, one Spanish. And a translator.
Very good.
Good. Any other future items? No? All right, everybody have a good night. Meeting is adjourned. Yes.